It's time for Losses Above Replacement, the best baseball podcast to grace your ears, with your hosts, Alex.
Plus, I have so many questions. Also, where's my car?
Splash.
Strive to love something as much as my grandmother loves buying new crock pots.
And Mac.
If you've ever been to Boston, you know that they have amazing ice cream.
Coming to you from coast to coast, it's L-A-R.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Losses Above Replacement, the best baseball podcast to grace your ears. I am today's host, Alex Clark, joined by our very own win now contenders in Ryan Splash Potts and Mathias and Kurosaki. My main men, how are we doing on this beautiful May Wednesday?
Well, it's actually Thursday, so I'll tell you that.
It is not. But it's Wednesday. We're recording this on the right day here. It's definitely not my fault.
Yeah, totally. Other than that, I'm doing fine. Not looking forward to getting rained on tomorrow. I was planning on going to the Mets game, but I have not bought a ticket yet for a reason, because it is supposed to be cold and rainy. So the thing is, I was originally going to go with my friend on Saturday, but then the Knicks advanced in the playoffs, and they are playing on Saturday afternoon. So that kind of is taking priority there. Unfortunately, it would cost about $750. That might even be low. $750 or so for a singular ticket, probably in the nosebleeds at Madison Square Garden on Saturday. So we won't be going in there. We'll probably be going to a watch party on 7th Avenue outside the arena.
Honestly, yeah, that just sounds much more feasible.
And that will be the extent of basketball talk on this podcast.
Yay!
Holy Christmas, do the Cavs suck.
Sorry, I checked. It's $792. That's the cheapest admission.
Anyway.
So the Cavs are down 0-2. 3 out of their 6 most important players are injured. They are going to Indiana down 0-2. That's what it's come to. So great. Everybody's a winner. The only bright spot my sports life is that Paris PSG is going to the Champions League final. They have a shot. Last time they played this overpowered Bayern Munich team in the COVID years. So I'm just going to say it. If PSG wins, Messi's not the GOAT anymore. He was never my GOAT, but if PSG wins without him, sorry, Messi, you should not be considered the GOAT. I cannot condone that argument. I'll hold firm in this. If you are a GOAT contender and you play for my team and you don't win a championship with my team, you cannot be considered the GOAT. If LeBron doesn't have 2016, I would not consider him the GOAT. It's as simple as that. If Hank Aaron in 1957 didn't win a title for the Braves, he would not be eligible to be the GOAT for me and my logic. So it's a big day for Messi because his resume, his legacy, it's at stake. So I need the boys
in the eyes of one Ryan Splash Potts.
Yes, I need the boys to pull through in Munich, beat Inter, and lift the Champions League for the first time in club history. So, allez-vous.
Yeah, fair enough at that point. I understand the logic. Although, to be fair, I will always be, what is it? I'll always prefer one Mr. Gordon Beckham. Definitely not the actual Beckham. Gordon Beckham, for the Seattle Mariners. But anyway, speaking of my Mariners, that's why I'm in a good mood. They have won 9 straight series. After getting swept by the Giants, you decided that you liked to play baseball and liked to hit the baseball now. Logic be damned. But no, I'm in a good mood. Work has been getting a little bit better. I'm still recovering from my knee injury, so that's sucked. But we're making do. We are making do. But you know what team is trying to make do, but is going to a little bit of big way to do it? That would be the Pittsburgh Pirates, as today they have announced that they are firing manager Derek Shelton after a, let's be honest here, a pretty poor showing over the first month or so of the season with a 12-26 record. Here they are 10 games behind the leading Chicago Cubs. But gentlemen, I just want to talk to you about this here. this feels like it's a panic move in a season where you already didn't feel that good about it overall. What do you guys take from the move happening right now?
So I'll say this much, that Derek Shelton was not the singular problem for the Pirates. All right. But it's not to say it goes without saying that I think that making a move like this kind of sends a message to the organization or to your roster that you're not playing up to par this year. And to be fair, you look at the roster and, I mean, what can you really say about it? And now they've lost 7 games in a row. They've lost 10 of their last 11. Like you said, 12 and 26. You look at the lineup. That's the thing, is you have this amazing pitching staff that you have. You know, you have Paul Skeens. Jared Jones is on the IL right now, yes. But then, you know, Andrew Heaney's been a nice pickup. Mitch Keller is still a solid arm. You have Bubba Chandler just still in the minors for some reason, still in Indianapolis. You know, Dennis Santana's been a very good closer this year, and David Bednar is getting back to it after that trip to the minors. But your offseason was re-signing Andrew McCutchen. All right, he's one of the 3 guys in your starting lineup with an OPS plus above 100. He's at 110. He's 38, though. Your other move was signing 37-year-old Tommy Pham, who has a 36 OPS plus right now. So your 3 guys with an OPS plus above 100 are Joey Bart at 116, O'Neal Cruz at 140. He's actually been good this year. He leads the majors in steals, and Andrew McCutchen. Nobody else on the team has an OPS plus. At least in the starting 9, the next highest is Isaiah Connor-Falefa with an 87. So you look at that roster, you can't really blame Shelton for that whole, this whole struggle right here. But I think this is honestly the right move. You give Don Kelly a shot to prove himself as a major league manager. And, maybe they do sort of turn things around. They're not making the playoffs this year, but really right now, I don't think it could get any worse.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, you look at this and yeah, it can't really get worse, but that doesn't mean it's going to get better. Like, that's my main issue here. Like, I'm taking a look at their hitting stats, right? Like, pitching wise, I'm not as worried about, right? Hitting wise, I've reason to be worried for this team. Here, overall, you take a look at the OPS leaders by a team overall, right? The Pittsburgh Pirates are 29th in Major League Baseball, sandwiched right between, the Colorado Rockies and the Chicago White Sox. Well, let's just put a little bit into perspective here on top, right? Just a little bit more. Those 2 teams, the Chicago White Sox are 10 and 28 on the season, last in the American League Central, and the Rockies are 6 and 30.
About to be 6 and 31. They're down 11-1 to the Tigers in the nightcap of the doubleheader.
6:30 is a time that you get off of work or maybe set an alarm in the morning for, not a baseball record. That is just horrifying to see. And the fact that you're sandwiched in between them, like, I mean, I understand I don't think it's all Derek Shelton's fault. In fact, I think a lot of it really goes back again to the general manager and Ben Cherington. I was talking about this a little bit pre-show here for those fans of SpongeBob. Way back in the day, there was an episode of where SpongeBob was the hall monitor type thing, or whatever, police scanner, whatever, and he was trying to find a criminal that they did not know was actually him. Like, he was the wanted guy and all of it. And there's the picture floating around of SpongeBob looking all serious while the picture of his wanted sign is right behind him, and they just have right over SpongeBob's face, they just have Ben Cherington. Like, look, I get that it's not all on the manager, and I also don't think it's all on the general manager either. But doing a move this early, to me, it screams panic here a little bit. And I understand that, but you're already in a season where, yeah, you could compete potentially, but your offense just has not been coming up to stuff here. And I understand, like, with guys, like Paul Skeens, like the rest of their starting rotation and Bednar on top of it, you can get stuff done. But is it really worth it to fire your manager in May One thing on top of it, just to add one little piece onto this here. There was a update that went on to this here from Charrington here about 2:50 today. He told the Pirates Beat that Kelly's appointment for this is permanent for 2025, saying that he could end up being considered for the 2026 position, but for the time being, the team is only committed to the remainder of the current season, and that seems to set a stage for a broad-reaching managerial search this winter, according to MLB trade rumors. So you're firing him for this season, saying you're not the guy, but you might be the guy after not being the guy for a little bit. That just feels weird to me. Splash, what's your take on this?
The problem with the Pirates is they can't fire the owner. It's as simple as that. If you ranked the 124 North American professional sports owners, 1 to 124, Bob Nutting is in the bottom 10. That is incredibly difficult to do. Every team, you ask their fans, and 95% of them will say something bad about the owner. Just about the only team, the Dodgers aren't going to say anything bad about ownership. The Mets aren't going to say anything about Steve Cohen. Maybe some Mets fans would.
It's a very, very small minority of people who just like to complain.
Yeah. So
also known as just baseball fans in general.
Yeah, humans like to complain. The owner is a very public figure to complain about. You can look at the Knicks, you can look at the Guardians, you can look at the Pirates, who I'm talking about right now. There are NHL owners that are perceived as bad. There are owners that move franchises, the Stan Kroenkes of the world. The Jim, I guess it's Jim Irsay now, but Robert Irsay moved the Colts back in the day. It's hard to find good ownership. The Pirates are still looking for good ownership, and you can fire the manager, you can fire the general manager, but you can't fire the owner. And that is the fundamental problem with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They do not hand out multi-year deals. They do not like spending any sort of money. And that it's one thing to run like a tight ship organizationally, but there's two other teams that run a tight ship and don't spend a lot of money financially: the Rays and the Guardians. And you can probably lump the Brewers in here too. But one thing they do is they're on the cutting edge of technology. They're on the cutting edge of things like pitching labs. They're on the cutting edge of acquiring players. They have a template. They have organizational goals that they try to achieve. And there's a reason they can fleece the Pirates in the Chris Archer trade. They can, the Astros can fleece the Pirates in the Garrett Cole trade. They may not have the resources to fund a $200 million payroll, but they add resources to spots that aren't affected by the payroll. That a pitching lab, there's not a salary cap or salary floor, or there's not a luxury tax associated with having a pitching lab. There's not a salary tax or salary cap implication to having good managers at minor league levels. The Pirates organizationally from top to bottom are an abject failure. They are a disaster. They have not won a World Series since 1979. That was before one Star Wars movie had been released. A New Hope wasn't even called A New Hope. It's been that long. 1979, ladies and gentlemen. They haven't even been to the World Series, let alone won the World Series. And you've had talented players come through the doors in the last 45 or so years. You had arguably the greatest player to ever don a baseball uniform wear your jersey. You went to the NLCS 3 times. You lost 3 times. Okay. The last 25 to 30 years after Barry Bonds left, it's not that the Pirates have had zero talent. They've had talented players. They've had Jason Bay and Brian Giles, and they've had some good pitchers, the Garrett Coles of the world. And Andrew McCutchen won an MVP, but you actively try to fail. I think you are actively trying to fail. The Nutting family, Bob Nutting, is actively trying to, use baseball as a financial opportunity. He is not trying to build a winning organization. He is not trying to build a winning culture. There is no spot in the Pirates outside of drafting Paul Skeens with the first overall pick. That is the only bright spot in this organization. Every other team has exciting players, with all due respect to O'Neal Cruz, with all due respect to my guy, Key Brian Hayes, with all due respect to Bubba Chandler and Jared Jones. Every team has something to look forward to. So I wouldn't even like hype that up. The only special thing is Paul Skeens, and they will not do a single thing to protect that asset or to build around that asset. You've won 76 games the last 2 seasons. That was a 15-win improvement over the previous 2 seasons. So maybe you can point at this as like a Mark Kotsay situation, that the team is looking better, and you can like have rose-tinted glasses and say, this is a team that's improving. You just got Skeens, Jared Jones. I mentioned all the young players that you can get excited about, Pirates fans can get excited about, and you're going to do nothing. It's not even a will they, won't they. It's a guaranteed. You will not do anything to support this. You will do jack squat, and it's a shame.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the other. Yeah. That's the thing right now.
The thing is, you know, if you don't mind right here, Alex, but it's you know, last year like I said, they were in the playoff race. They were 55-52 at the end of July on trade deadline day, and after that they went 21-34. So this is sort of a continuation of last summer. You know, I was saying this before the show, but last year when they were in contention, they tried to buy at the trade deadline. They didn't want to give up the prospects for Jazz Chisholm. All right, fine. I think Chisholm could have been a solid pickup. It's the fact that they didn't do much after that. Their acquisition was Brian De La Cruz, and Brian De La Cruz is, you know, a decently talented player, but he wasn't a fraction of what Jazz Chisholm was. So really, they traded for the wrong Marlins player, first of all, and they didn't do enough to prove that they were actually contending. And what do you know? They're 21-34 the rest of the year, 12-26 to start this year. I mean, really, they took the 2 steps forward and they took about 7 steps backwards.
One thing I do kind of want to, playing slight devil's advocate here, right? We were talking about this last time, like last year around this time. Not around this time, excuse me, during the trade deadline, that we were surprised that there weren't as many moves at the deadline, and we found out eventually why. The asking prices for a lot of these players was way too high, and that led to a lack of trading overall. I think the biggest one that people were surprised about was Yandy Diaz not getting moved here. I think there was some hope that Vladdy was going to get traded. I don't think that was ever real, though.
Yeah, no,
but
really.
Yeah, but here's the thing with it is that I feel, because I'm agreeing 100% with you, Splash. Like, if you aren't willing to put out the money and put out to get these players here, you're not going to succeed. Like, heck, even my Mariners right now, I've complained about ownership before. I try to keep it a little bit calm on all this, right? But at the same time, they've at least now extended a few of their players. Julio Rodriguez, their superstar of the future, signed for 14 years. Cal Raleigh is now signed for the next 6+ years. He signed until his age 30 season. Age 31 season, actually, I believe. But you're always putting the faith in, these are the guys that we like, and we're going to build with them. We're going to build around them because they are good players here. With the Pirates right now, what do you have to build around? You have Skeens. Fantastic. Good job. You got the guy. Good boy. But after that, O'Neal Cruz was someone that you could potentially build around, and that started to fall apart a bit. Here, Brian Reynolds has really not looked good defensively, but hey, I mean, as a switch-hitting outfielder, cool. But after that, also Key Brian Hayes, defensive legend. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like the team wants to win. And this move right here of firing the manager, this is a publicity stunt, I feel. This is a publicity stunt to show people that we are here to win, but you're doing that by cutting payroll, by firing your manager that, oh yeah, we don't like this guy. You mean the guy that you hired? Okay, cool. So now it's just a publicity stunt here in order to show a fake narrative at this point.
really the thing is that they've had a lot of high draft picks,
Yeah.
but I'm looking at them and, you go back the years. All right. They took, last year they took Connor Griffin. He's a pretty promising shortstop, and Levi Sterling. They took Skeens, and he's obviously been a home run so far,
Actually, it's been a strikeout, but that's
yeah. Well, yeah, because he's a pitcher. Yes. Termarr Johnson has yet to get past AA. He has kind of underperformed. Tom Harrington just broke into the majors. He has some promise. Henry Davis has really struggled. Nick Gonzalez is a pretty solid player, but he's always getting hurt. Carmen Mlodzinski has been I don't know what they're doing with his development, shifting him back and forth. And then Quinn Priester, they had to DFA and trade eventually. And Travis Swaggerty is currently in the Mets minor league organization and has 9 big league at bats. So
one of the best.
They haven't done a great name, but they haven't done a great job on that front either. That's the issue.
I'll bring up one last thing here, Splash. So I know you're trying to talk. It's one more thing I do want to say, and it very much helps your point here on this.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Skeens is such a weird thing because that is something that the Pirates can tout. Like, yes, we have Paul Skeens. We have this amazing pitcher. We drafted him and we built him up to be what he is today. Go back and watch what he was doing at LSU. He was just as dominant. He had maybe not as much. It's like maybe not as much of the spin rate, maybe not as much on it, but dang close. That's why he was so dominant in college. That's why he was the first overall draft pick. Now he's doing that to major leaguers, and we're seeing the metrics that we already knew back then was going to be here. So I don't even like the idea of them touting that they have Paul Skeens because he fell into your lap. You were bad enough that you got the first overall pick, and you used it to get Paul Skeens, who you already knew was with about 95% clarity that he was going to be a major league starting pitcher. Maybe not to the degree that he is right now. Again, baseball is weird. Anything can happen. But I don't want them just to say that this is our project. Look at our shining star. I'm like, no. You picked the guy that was number one. Congratulations. You opened up the checkbook, wrote the check for $100, and cashed it in yourself for $100. Woo.
This to me just screams Cavaliers to me as a Cavs fan. This is you get LeBron James, you get arguably the greatest player in the history of the sport. And what exactly did you do? It just the 2002 to 2010 Cavs, just abject failure trying to build around a super mega star, at times the best player in the sport, the guy who won 2 MVPs as a Cav. And you botch move after move. But I'm going to wrap it up with one point. There are teams in Major League Baseball that try. There are teams in Major League Baseball that either through free agency or trades or they do things for their players. For example, Corbin Burns. There's a reason he went to Arizona. He has his permanent living situation is in Arizona, but he and his wife saw that Arizona was good for families. The Diamondbacks organization had a good infrastructure for families. That is something they do that you don't see in the payroll. The Dodgers, in their attempt to sign Roki Sasaki, said, we are going to, this is a true story. You can check it on ESPN. They said, we are going to tear up our bathrooms. We just poured the concrete, but we're going to tear it up so we can have Japanese style bidets. They had regular bidets, but Roki Sasaki is so important to us that it matters. Our players are happy, healthy, and can use Japanese style toilets. They went out and did that for a player who is making the league minimum this year. And the Pirates, they don't do anything with the Major League Club. They don't do the minor leagues. They're nothing special. What is outside of Skeens? Is there anything the Pirates would get an A in? Anything in the organization? The Rays get an A for pitching development. The Brewers get an A for pitching development. The Guardians get an A for the pitching development. Those are teams with lower payrolls. The Marlins get an A for pitching development. They have a low payroll. The A's hitting development. Look at the A's. They bang. They're above 500 right now. They bang. Yeah. They can't pitch, but they bang. What do the Pirates do? anything.
They have a really beautiful stadium. That's what they
Okay,
Yeah, A for
stadium.
PNC Park.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Okay, there we go.
That's
the extent I can give it to them.
That you get an A for Skeens, you get an A for the beautiful ballpark.
I give him like a B plus for O'Neal Cruz because he's doing well this year.
Yeah, he's balling out. I like the jerseys. I like the throwback aesthetic with the Sparkle Stars.
Oh,
that's
dude,
great.
I love the 1970s.
An A for jersey design, absolutely.
So, the Pirates are a failure.
Yeah, and that's what makes it all. Because I'll tell you even one more thing on top of that they failed on a little bit here. Did you guys at all follow the whole saga with trying to get Paul Skeens' MLB debut Topps card?
Yes.
Yeah, so the Pirates put out an offer for that, a bounty for the card. And I'm trying to get the exact.
It was $1 million, I believe. Or it was. I know it involved like season tickets behind home plate or something.
Yeah,
the 11-year-old who pulled it.
Yeah, the Pirates put a huge offer on it, but the problem is they say huge. It wasn't actually that big of an offer.
That's why he rejected it.
Yeah, everyone rejected it. And to be fair, anyone who saw the offer, like, first thing was like, oh, that's cool. And then you looked at it a little bit more. And then you realized, wait a minute, this is not near as much here as what the kid, whoever gets this, is going to be getting here. So this is the official terms of what they offered. This is the full what they had here.
Yeah.
2 Pirates season tickets behind home plate for the next 30 years, a softball game for 30 people at PNC Park, and coaching for Pirates alumni, a spring training experience like no other here with private tour of Pirates City at Lincoln Park, meet and greet with Skeens, 2 sign Paul Skeens autographed jerseys, 2 take batting practice warm with the team, other unique experiences at Pirates City at Lincoln Park. So that sounds cool until you realize how much that card went for.
1.1 million. So.
Yeah, that card became one of the most expensive cards here at $1.1 million, right? Normally, baseball cards do not go for that amount of money unless you are a legend, and there's only a couple of the card in existence because the cards have been destroyed more than that. Does anyone remember about a certain Honus Wagner card that went for a lot of money? Mickey Mantle card that went for a lot of money. This is a rookie. And you take a look at the value between that, and the Pirates offer itself felt like a low ball. Like, that's the issue with all of this, is that even with their main guy, they still find a way to make another low ball. But I think we're all done now talking about the Pirates. Matt, do you have something you want to add on to this? Yeah, go for it.
Can we talk about the teams at the other end of the spectrum?
Yeah, let's absolutely.
Let's do that.
Let's absolutely talk about a beautiful segue here. We're going to talk about the best teams right now. Is we're going to be ranking our confidence in the current division leaders. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, there are 6 division leaders so far, and we are going to be basically ranking, giving our confidence level between 1 and 10 that they will stay the division leader for the rest of the season. So currently right now, looking at the actual division leaders themselves, here we have the Yankees atop of the American League East, the Tigers atop the American League Central, my Seattle Mariners atop the American League West, and then the National League, you have the Mets atop the East, the Cubs atop the Central, and the Dodgers atop the West. So, gentlemen, where would you like to start? Because we've got a whole lot of teams to talk about here. It feels very cathartic now to talk about good teams after talking about the Pirates in the first 20 minutes.
Yes, it does.
So,
I'm going to start at the top. I think this is the easiest team to place. I have the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I know the lead is only a game and a half over both the Padres and Giants, and the Diamondbacks are a pretty good 4th place team. But I think this is a team that'll just be able to stack wins, and we've seen they've dealt with injuries, and even in their big 3, all three of Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman have missed a little bit of time. Now Ohtani's was paternity leave, so congratulations. But Freddie missed some time. Betts missed some time and hasn't been quite as good as normal Betts. But it's just the depth of pitching, the depth of the bullpen, the depth of the lineup, even the auxiliary stars, the Will Smiths, the Teoscar Hernandezes, the Tommy Edmonds. You're always going to have something going. So I have the most confidence that they will finish first place and win their division.
Yeah, and I'm gonna agree with you here. This is gonna be a runaway train. I think I just see no way that either of those teams finish ahead of them. I think it's tough because I was not particularly high on the Padres coming into the season. I really think on paper the Diamondbacks are the second best team in this division. And I think the Padres are going to come back to earth. We've already seen them sort of come back to the pack a little bit. And same with the Giants. I mean, the Giants, I think their offense is solid. It hasn't been great. And they have a decently talented pitching staff. But neither of these teams hold a candle to the Dodgers. And I understand, like, Teoscar Hernandez just went on the IL. He's leading the majors in RBIs. And he's got a 933 OPS. But I mean, even their depth guys, like they're pretty solid big leaguers. So the Dodgers, yeah, like I said, they're a runaway train. They're probably going to win this division by over 10 games.
So just because I want to clarify here, both of you guys have it like a confidence 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10, easy.
Yeah.
So I'll go a little bit differently here, but I agree that they are going to win. But my confidence is at an 8 out of 10. And the only reason why it's not out of 10 is we've seen injuries that have harmed them a good bit here. But also, the National League West division itself right now is so dang competitive here at the moment. Like, we're taking a look at the teams currently, right? Dodgers are ahead at 25-12, closely followed up by both the Padres and Giants. Padres at 23-13, Giants at 24-14, and the Diamondbacks at 19-18. And honestly, I feel like it's safe to say that's a pretty slow start overall for them. Because I get with you. I think that they're darn good. But I look at this and I'm like, okay, yeah, the Dodgers are probably going to win it, but it really does just take one slip up here and then another team can surpass you. That's just how baseball is. I do think that it's a very, very low chance. There's a reason why you're showing on the betting odds here that they are the only team of the NL West that has a minus on the betting odds. They're at minus 450. But regardless here, I think that the amount of power that you have between the Padres, Giants, and D-backs here, there's a chance that one of them can just go on an incredible streak with how good they've been doing and could dethrone the Dodgers if they don't keep up pace. I don't think it's going to happen. But I have a lot of confidence that the Dodgers will continue on to be number one, but it's just not at a full 10. Let's keep it in the National League.
I suppose that's fair. That it's a really talented team, but they're being chased by other really talented teams. And, we saw in 2021 that the Giants won 107 games and beat them out. So if it takes 105 wins to beat the Dodgers, they play in a division that you probably have the best chance to get a 105-win team to usurp the Dodgers.
Right. So let's move on. Let's keep it within the National League then. Let's go to the National League Central. Currently, right now, the Cubs lead the division with 22-16. You then have a 3-way tie here for second place between the Cardinals, Reds, and Brewers, all with a record of 19-19, and even 500, as we say in the business, finally pure mid. And then you have the Pirates at 12-26. So, Mac, I want to start with you on this one. Where are your thoughts here with the division?
So I'm going to give my confidence with the Cubs at about 8. I'm fairly confident in them, really. This is a super talented team. They have the highest scoring offense in the majors right now. Shout out to Carson Kelly. I don't know where that came from, his offense. And I understand he's only played in 22 games with 86 plate appearances, but he's already hit 8 home runs. He's walked 18 times to 9 strikeouts, a 1261 OPS. 253 to OPS plus. That's out of this world. I'm not saying that Carson Kelly is going to do that all season, but the rest of this lineup, I think, is playing their abilities. Kyle Tucker's mashing. Seiya Suzuki's mashing. Dansby Swanson has picked it up a little bit. He's above average now. Michael Bush is hitting above average, 823 OPS. Pete Crow Armstrong caught fire. He's up to an 841 OPS. Like, this is a super talented lineup. My concern is with the pitching staff. I mean, everyone is banged up, it feels like. They're not going to have Justin Steele all year. Shota Imanaga is on the IL now, so you're kind of relying on Jameson Taillon, Matt Boyd, Ben Brown, and Colin Ray, and now they're calling up Cade Horton as their rotation. So it's a lot of question marks, and their bullpen has just been a disaster, really. Ryan Presley had one of the worst outings I've ever seen the other day. And I watched Steven Matz give up 8 runs without recording it out in person one time. So the only concern I would have really is that, the Brewers find ways to pick up wins. Like, it doesn't matter who's on the field. They just find ways to win games. So I think the Brewers have probably the best shot. The Reds have been really inconsistent. And the Cardinals, I think, are going to sell at the trade deadline. So I think the Cubs still have a strong chance, but I wouldn't count out the Brewers, or I wouldn't even count out the Reds yet.
Yeah. If the Dodgers are like a 9 to a 10, I would say the Cubs are an 8 for me. Like you said, great offense. And if I'm judging units of teams in the Central, the Cubs offense would be the number one thing I trust. And then beyond that, I guess Brewers pitching, because they just do it every year. But I don't really buy the Cardinals. Frankly, I think they could be a team that sells at the deadline. The Reds, you do have Terry Francona, and you might have the best pitcher in the National League, although Hunter Green just left yesterday's game with an injury. You have an electric position player in Ellie De La Cruz. So you have the MVP Cy Young guys, and then the rest of the team is kind of figuring it out. The Brewers, like I said, the pitching and cobbling it together on offense, and the Cubs, it's just an awesome offense. The entire team feels like it hits. If you get a good year at Wrigley Field, you might, I don't want to say score 1,000 runs because that's kind of out there, but you could be the best offense in baseball. I think that's in their cards. So I'd go probably a 7.5 to an 8 with the Cubs. They'd be my number 2 team in terms of confidence. Yeah,
I'm also going to go with a 7 for the Cubs overall here. Kind of echoing what you all have been saying here. In the time that you guys gave your full explanations, the Cubs found a way to get another 7 hits. But that's all that they do. They hit the ball, and they hit the ball extremely well here. The problem, again, has been their pitching. And that's going to be what ultimately screws them if they don't. It's like, if they don't keep hitting. It goes back to like the Angels problem. Doesn't matter if you score 10,000 runs if you give up 10,001. But at the same time, they've been winning with this hyper offense, and it's been honestly really fun to watch here. It comes down to whether or not their pitching can at least hold up. It does not need to be stellar. It does not need to be, like a Mariners rotation or a Phillies rotation or anything like those. But it does need to at least be, competent. And so far right now, it is. And competent is really what you need to win in the NL Central right now. I do think that the next best team to kind of usurp that would probably be the Brewers. Here, though, closely followed by the Reds. But yeah, like you said earlier there, Mac, the Brewers just find ways to win games, which is a magical quality to have in baseball because winning games is good.
So, word? Really?
Yeah. Look, I know I am a baseball savant right now, and I gotta tell you, winning games is good.
Crazy.
I know, right? It's amazing. Anyway, but yeah, I think the Cubs are going to do it just with that hyper offense. As long as it keeps up at least a little bit, then you're going to win ball games. That's how it's going to be. Let's finish out the National League here with your guys' side of the country here. We have currently the Mets at the very top of the leaderboard here. I'll start this one off here. My confidence is at a 7. They are a good team. The Mets are a very good team. You know who's also a good team? The Braves when they're healthy. You know who's also a good team when they just find ways to win? The Philadelphia Phillies. You know who's not a good team? The Marlins or the Nationals right now. I think that right now, when you take a look at what the Mets are doing, they're doing things in a really good way. They do have a few issues, right now that you just kind of have to work around. Mark Vientos is not looking like Vientos is needed to be. Juan Soto is finally starting to turn some things around. And Pete Alonso is continuing on his World Destruction Tour. Word to Tony Hawk. But at the same time here, I think that right now this is probably the weakest that we have seen in the NL East in a good little bit here, because we were having a tight three-headed dragon race between the Mets, Phillies, and Braves, and now it just doesn't feel like it has that luster this year. It doesn't feel quite as strong, and I could be very wrong on that front. But I think that when it comes out for the entire of the season, as long as the Mets stay relatively injury-free, I think they're going to take this division.
Yeah, so I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go with a 7 as well. I'll say this, that I think the pitching staff has been excellent, and they're not at full strength yet. They don't have Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, or Paul Blackburn yet. And, they don't have AJ Minter or Danny Young the rest of the year. So that's both of their lefties to open the season are not on the team right now. Young got Tommy John surgery. They're going to get Brooks Raley back at some point. But that being said, I think the pitching staff will probably regress a little bit. I think it's still this is a good pitching staff objectively. I think the offense is going to take a step forward. I have no clue what's going on with Mark Vientos. Really not sure. I knew he wasn't going to be like as amazing as he was last year, but he's chasing a lot of bad pitches. His fielding is subpar again. You might as well make him a DH. That's my biggest issue is they haven't found a consistent cleanup hitter. All right, the top 3 guys in the lineup, good. Lindor, Soto, Alonso, that's a great top 3. Your number 4 hitter, it doesn't matter who you put in the 4 spot. It seems like nobody can hit. Now Jesse Winker's hurt for a while, so that's fun. But I think this is, this considering that they're not at full strength yet. I mean, there's not much to complain about the Mets right now. I think though the Phillies and Braves are going to hang around. And I'm going to say it right now. I think the Braves finish ahead of the Phillies. I understand that the Braves have gotten off to a slower start than they would have liked to, but I don't trust that Phillies lineup at all, or that bullpen for that matter. And their rotation is pretty solid still, even though Aaron Nola has not been Aaron Nola this year. But I think the Mets have a solid shot at hanging on to this NL East, winning their first title in 10 years. But as I learned in 2022, never count out the Braves. So we'll see what happens the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I think my confidence is more a 5, I'd say. The Mets are second in the National League in wins above average from starting pitchers. I don't think that continues. I think there'll be a plus unit. There's 8 of 15 teams are above average here. I would bet the Braves have a better record the rest of the way. Does that mean they make up a 6-game deficit? No idea. I'm not going to say that because the Mets are a very good team. I would bet if you could get odds on it, I would probably say the Braves are like minus 120 to have a better rest of season record. I could actually look on Fangraphs. They have a projection while I finish my point. And the Phillies are only 2 games back, and I think the Phillies are a live threat. Like them having the highest pitching wins above replacement in the National League among starters makes sense to me. They're second overall in pitching, even with a shoddy bullpen. I wonder who would have called Jordan Romano stinking. I don't know. Maybe some intellectual Braves fan.
I don't know who that could have been.
Not a clue.
I don't know. I do not know. I surely don't. But regardless, I'd say a 5. And I think the odds here reflect that the Mets are just slight favorites to win the division. And it's because you have 2, in theory, juggernauts in the division. The Phillies can really pitch. The lineup depth is not exactly there this season, but you still have Harper, you still have Schwarber, you have Turner. I think Real Muto will be better. I think Alec Boehm won't be the worst player in baseball.
Yeah, he was getting super unlucky.
Yeah. I mean, and then the Braves, you're currently missing Strider. He's due to be back soon. You're going to have Ronald back. So the Braves have been the worst outfield, or one of the worst outfields in the National League by wins above average. They are 14th, just a tick better than Pittsburgh. And we just talked about how inept Pittsburgh is. I don't think Atlanta is going to be 13th in wins above average from right fielders. I don't think they're going to be 14th from center fielders. So Harris and Acuna, I think they'll be better. Your left field spot, now your Verdugo spot. Verdugo has been fine. So that might be below average. But I think Atlanta will be marginally better than the Mets the rest of the season. Again, I don't know if that means they make up a 6-game gap. They have yet to play the Mets, so that'll tell a lot of the story. And then the Phillies, I think, are close enough to challenge. I'd say a 5 out of 10.
That's totally fair. So with that, then all being said, our most confident side is through the Dodgers, which I don't think is a surprise to literally anyone.
No disputes there.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to the American League side. Let's start with the East here. The Yankees have the lead, and right now it's honestly fairly close, I would say, between the Yankees and the Red Sox here, which again, hey, a renewing of one of the most classic rivalries of all time. You love to see it. But I'm going to go with a 5. Actually, no, I'm going to go 6 with this. The Yankees have really surprised me this year. I thought pitching-wise they were going to be dreadful. Like, they've had a lot of issues overall, but it's kind of funny. You take a look at their team pitching stats here. They actually lead all of baseball here in batting average against at 206. That's impressive overall. And in a lot of other categories like team whip, other ones, team ERA, they're still top 10. And then you take a look at the hitting and realize, oh my, this team is good in that way too. They currently lead baseball in team OPS at 807 overall. Take a look at RBIs. They are still within the top half overall of everything. Like, this team is good. This team is so complete overall. But you know who's also following right behind them? It's the Red Sox. Taking a look at team OPS, the Red Sox are 8th right now. Yes, the Yankees are first. I understand that. Team batting average here overall, the Red Sox are 9th. The Yankees are 6th. This is a lot closer than I think people really want to give it credit for. It really does come down to pitching. And that's kind of where it starts to fall off, I think, a little bit. But even then, I still think that the Red Sox can still pull something together on that front. Here, their team average against here is at 251, which is a stark difference to the Yankees 206. But I still think that their pitching can make it work. They did just have a big blow of losing Tristan Casas, which is they are going to have to figure out something for there. And apparently it's not going to be Devers. We'll talk about that another time, though. But as for confidence, I think I'm going to go with about a 6. I think the Red Sox can come back and win it. But right now, the Yankees are in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here. I'm gonna give them a 6, partially because I'll say this much: they're 8-0 in games started by Max Fried, and he has been excellent this year. Like without a doubt, you could not have asked for much more. But they're 13-16 in games he doesn't pitch. They're trying to figure out what in the world is going on with Devin Williams. So yeah, it's kind of it's kind of a mess, I'd say. The rest of the roster, Aaron Judge is great. Is Paul Goldschmidt going to keep hitting? Is Trent Grisham going to keep hitting like Barry Bonds? I mean, I don't know, but the Red Sox on paper, I think, are the more talented squad. They're so wildly inconsistent. Like, keep going to and from 500. Like, I think the Red Sox on paper, I mean, they have the makings of a division winner. But if they don't find a groove, they're going to be putzing around 500 all year. Which is why I think the Yankees still have a decent chance, but I can't say I'm super confident.
I guess I'll be the low man in the group. I've more of a 4. I think they deserve to be favored for sure, but I do find it a little alarming that they are only 4.5 games up entering play today on the Rays and Blue Jays, who are 4 games below 500. And all it takes is like one series goes the wrong way. Like you watch the Yankees against the Tigers. They got wrecked in that series. I know that was bad weather, and that's a while ago, and you're not going to play in that situation again. But I think the Yankees are a very vibes-oriented team, and all it takes is one bad start for Max Fried, which at some point will happen. He's not going to be, Jesus Christ himself for the rest of the season, as good as he is. Carlos Rodon, I don't think he's going to allow 4 hits per 9 for the rest of the season. I don't think Trent Grisham is going to hit 200 or 291 with a 180 OPS plus. I don't think Paul Goldschmidt's going to hit 340. Aaron Judge, I'm not putting anything past him. He might slug 1,000 this year. I don't know. So I have my doubts. So I'd say like a 4, maybe a 4.5, that there are 3 teams within striking distance of the Yankees. And I'm not saying the Rays or Blue Jays are these great teams this season. I think the Red Sox have plenty of talent to catch the Yankees, but I don't think the Yankees have quite a stranglehold.
I completely understand that. Let's move on to the American League Central. And I'll just start it out here. The Tigers, I think, are winning the division, and I'm pretty confident in that one here. Like, yes, I understand that, the Royals are really emerging as a strong team. The Guardians are a good team, but the Guardians have also been losing some of their skilled players. I don't even mean losing as in injured, although, to be fair, they did have a bit of a scare here with J-Ram. Hopefully that doesn't turn too bad. I haven't heard any news personally. If you guys have, please let me know. But also with Emmanuel Clase just not looking like Emmanuel Clase, although I think he will get better later on in the year again. I think the Tigers just are such a talented team right now. From top to bottom, especially when you're led by Tariq Skubal, like, this is a really good team here. My confidence for them right now is at an 8 to win this division.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go with an 8 too. I mean, after today's doubleheader, they have the best run differential in the majors. Which is crazy to think about that this is a team I did not think would be super explosive on offense, and now they've scored the most runs in the American League. So yeah, no, they're playing really, really well. And I understand. I think the Royals and the Guardians are going to be put up a fight, and even the Twins are starting to get together. But the Tigers, I think, I'm looking at the rosters right now. They're the most complete team in the division, and honestly, they could surprise people this October. You never know. But yeah, this is a solid team, really.
I don't think I'm quite as that high. I'd say more of a 6. One thing I do like is that they have reinforcements coming. Parker Meadows is on his way to return. Now, granted, Javi Baez playing center field has been solid.
Wild. That's been wild.
I know that's technically moving down the defensive spectrum from shortstop to center field, but consider Baez is in his age 32 season, and he's, making plays in center field. You love to see it. I'm glad he's kind of turning it around and finding a role, finding a home with this team that, he was supposed to be the star, and now he's, showing out in a different way. He's hitting 313. I don't think that continues, with all due respect, but hey, good for Baez and good for this pitching staff. The pitching chaos has given way to really good pitching, just straight up. Tariq Skubal is, Tariq Skubal, yada, yada. Casey Mize, sub-3 ERA. Reese Olson, a sub-3 FIP. Jack Flaherty's been pretty good. Jackson Jobe has been okay. Could be better. He is 2-0 if you care about wins and losses. And then the bullpen is still really good. Tommy Kahnle, 0.66 ERA. Hello. And then it's a bunch of just dudes pitching, right? The John Brebbias of the world, Brendan Hanafis, Tyler Holton, Will Vest. They all, like, everyone gets outs. It's incredible to watch. So I don't want to go too high because I think Cleveland and Kansas City both stand a chance. So I'd say a 6 to a 6.5. Cleveland and Kansas City are both over 500. They both have higher winning percentages than the Yankees coming into today. I'm out on the Twins. I said I was out on the Twins the second we made our predictions. I said they were going to win the division, but not win the division and be more likely to finish 5th than finish 1st. But I have a little bit more confidence in the Tigers than the Yankees because I think they're a better team. But the competition in the Central is pretty stacked, I will say.
Yeah. So with that, let's move on to the American League West. I will not be going first on this one. Splash, I would like you to go first on this one. Here, tell me, what are your thoughts?
All right. We are going to go with a 4.7 confidence in the Mariners. Higher than the Yankees, lower than the Mets, lower than the Tigers. Why is that? The Mariners' shape of production to get to this point, they're 22-14 entering play today, is weird. from what you expected entering the season to how they have played. Even the most optimistic among us, I would say Alex, said great pitching and the hitting will be, fine, maybe a little bit better than fine. Well, that's just been completely flipped. The ERA or the staff ERA plus is 98. That's below average. And granted, it's a 3.75 ERA, which is pretty good for a staff, but they pitch in Seattle, so that's a little below average. But the OPS plus of the team is 125. I don't think Kyle Raleigh is going to have a 174 OPS plus for the season. I don't think Leo Rivas is going to have a 155. I don't think Jorge Polanco is going to have a 222. I think there is some regression due there. I think they can finish above 100. I don't think 125 is realistic. Now, the pitching, I think, will be better than a 98. Bryce Miller's at an 87. He'll be better than that. Emerson Hancock's at a 64. That'll even out with innings. You're going to get George Kirby back. You're going to get Logan Gilbert back. Andres Munoz might not be a 0, but he might not be like a 0-0-0, but he could be sub 1. I think that's on the table. But the rest of the bullpen, we're going to pretend that doesn't exist. So I think that'll be better.
Brash back.
Brash is good. Yeah.
Great. So I'd say like a 4.8, maybe. Texas has been what we expected the Mariners to be. Unbelievable pitching. They just can't hit inexplicably. My Jake Berger takes did not go well. He's in AAA right now. Just an absolute disaster,
I don't know what's going on over there.
What happened?
The A's bang. We know they bang. They can't pitch though. So if the A's and Rangers combined teams, they would be 162-0. And the Astros are the Astros. So that's my lack of confidence compared to the rest of the teams besides the Yankees. But more confident than the Yankees, if that makes you feel better, Alex.
Yeah. Nope. So I'm probably in that range too. I'm gonna go with I'll give the Mariners a 6 as well. Actually, I'll say this: it's mainly because I can't figure out the rest of the division. And to your point, Splash, about the way they've gotten here, they're 7th in the majors in runs scored and 13th in the majors in ERA. Definitely what we expected. But I think. Just like what Splash said, I think the pitching staff is definitely going to improve, and the offense, I'm sure, will, in some ways, they're going to take a step back. But at the same time, I think that Julio is only getting started. I think when he's going, the rest of the offense is going to go. So I think the Mariners, there's a reason why they're at the top of the standings right now. If the Astros figure it out, though, wouldn't be surprised if they start moving up. If the Rangers figure out how to hit a lick. I think I can't figure out if the A's are actually for real because of their pitching staff, but I think that the Mariners and the 2 Texas teams are going to battle for the division this year.
Mm-hmm. Before you go, Alex, I do think it's telling the Mariners are plus 105. They're the only one of the division leaders that is not outright favorites. Mm-hmm. So I do think that is a little telling. Granted, second place is the Mets, and I have a higher confidence in the Mets than, say, the Tigers or Yankees. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that. I'm betting that you guys are expecting me to say I'm full 10 out of 10. Right? I'm
even higher, frankly. 77 out of 10. Jorge Polanco for MVP.
No, it would be
maybe a 7.7 actually.
No, it would be 75 out of 10 for Munoz. By the way, still a 0 ERA. Even he's given up 1 run, but it was the ghost runner.
It was an unearned run, yeah.
That was the most absurd game of all time.
That game, I had an aneurysm.
We should have led with that. Why are you double intentionally walking to go face Jacob Wilson?
Look, here I've been adamant saying that I'm not fully behind a lot of decisions that Dan Wilson has made, but he's also winning games. That was not one of them, though. I'm not going to go with a 10. This is going to surprise you. I'm at a 5.
I'm the high man here. That's crazy.
You're the high man here. Here's my thought process, right? This team, I think, is good, and I do think they are for real. I think that the offense here is finally starting to figure out what offense looks like again. And if you've noticed as well, it hasn't even been the home run ball where they've been getting a lot of their runs. They've been getting a lot of runs through extra base hits, through just getting on first base, taking second base here. They've been getting a lot of runs here just from manufacturing a little bit more, which has always been their which is needed to be their strong suit, especially playing in Seattle. That does make it harder to hit the ball. My main reason why I'm not as confident, right, it's because right now you have a lot of question marks still. Logan Gilbert, you do not know what his future is. You do not know if he's going to be coming back in a month or in a year and 3 months. You do not know right now what Kirby is going to be like when he comes back. You don't know what the rest of your rotation is, and your bullpen, Lord, needs some help besides Matt Brash and Spire and Munoz. Those three, yeah, no, absolutely fine. With everyone else, I have some issues. And then offensive-wise, things are looking okay, but you've had so many injuries on this team. Robles is out. Ryan Bliss, your starting second baseman, is out. Here, you have had so many different injuries now that you just brought in Leody Taveras to be now a situational outfielder for the team. This is, I don't want to say this is not sustainable, but I'm nervous about it because I could just see, I've been through the song and dance way too many times that I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because the pitching has not been fantastic. Brian Wu has looked good, but not amazing. Bryce Miller has been subpar of what I like to see from Bryce Miller. Luis Castillo has looked okay here, and other people are injured. So what do you do? And Emerson Hancock finally is actually starting to pitch like I know Emerson Hancock can. Not his first outing. But I think that right now, like you said, Texas, they're pitching great. We know the hitting is coming. We know this team. We know that they're able to hit. The Houston Astros, they are in such a flux right now that I'm not quite sure what they're going to do, but we know that they have the ability to just explode again for a bunch of wins. The Athletics are playing in a AAA ballpark, but they've still been hitting well. Pitching, what's that? And then there's the Angels. I'm not 100% confident the Mariners can win this based on where we're at, but I will say I'm actually more confident in them now than I was at the beginning of the year. Because now we're starting to see the team really take some shape. There's a few things I need to see, a few changes. But that is what we got here for our confidence in these Major League Division leaders. Let us know what you think. Do you think that the Red Sox are going to overtake the Yankees? Do you think that the Marlins are going to go lossless for the rest of the year and somehow win the East? Let us know on Twitter, X the Bird app, at LAR_baseball. But now it is time for everyone's favorite segment. It is now time for trivia. And for trivia, I hand things off to one Mr. Splash Man, Ryan Pop.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the numbers game. Alex and Mac, you're going to go back and forth with ascending jersey numbers coordinated to players in 2025.
Okay.
2025 jerseys. You can begin with 0 or 1. We'll get into that. And you work as high as you can, alternating numbers. You get 3 strikes. But the kicker is you have to name a player with that jersey number before moving on. So no intentionally sandbagging. You have to get the number right to pass it to the next person. This is 2025 jerseys only, according to Baseball Reference. So if a player hasn't played yet, it doesn't count. I'm sorry. They have to have some stats accumulated this season. So example 13 for the Braves, invalid because Acuna hasn't played this season. So
question, can I start immediately at 99 with Aaron Judge so that there's no more answers?
Unfortunately, no. We will do a coin toss. If you win the coin toss, you may opt to choose the starting number, either 0 or 1, or you may opt to go first or second. So, Alex, please pick heads or tails.
Heads.
It is heads. Make your selection. You may choose to start either 0 or 1, or you may choose if you want to go first or second.
I would like to go second out.
Wait. You only make one choice. This is like the NFL. You only make one choice. Okay, so
I'm curious then. I would like to then go at 1. Can we start? I would like to start at 1.
Okay, start at 1. Mac, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first then.
All right. Number 1, your player is
Jeff McNeil.
Jeff McNeil is
Where's
correct.
Number 1.
Alex, number 2.
Now you're picking a guy with number 2, yeah.
Yes, number 2.
Oh, boy. Wait, I know number 1. I don't know.
Okay, this could be a very quick trivia.
This might be a very quick trivia.
I will say the number of players that wear number 2 is considerably larger than 0 and 1.
That's fair. To be fair, as it really said, the first name that came to my mind was Kenji Jojima.
That is a little out of date, buddy.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
Big fan.
Okay, wearing number 2. Shoot. I'm like blanking on all of Major League Baseball right now. This is horrifying.
Not a great start.
Oh no, we're off to a horrid
great start actually.
I'll give you a hint. No pitchers.
Okay, no pitchers.
Yeah, I gather that much.
Man, why can't I think of a player that wears number 2? Legitimately, I cannot think of anyone that wears number 2 right now.
Oh God.
This is actually embarrassing. Because I wanted to say number 1 for Ryan Bliss, but
which would have been correct.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think I was misunderstanding how the things worked, but that's okay. Who wears number 2? Wow. I cannot believe I'm like this far down the rabbit hole of wait, Luis Rengifo?
Luis Rengifo is correct. He is number 3 WAR, but that is
I could
correct.
not remember if he was number 2 or number 4.
All right, Mac, number 3.
I'm sticking with the Mets then. I'm going with Jesse Winker.
Jesse Winker is correct. 0.1 WAR. Alex, number 4.
Okay, now we're off to our second hardest challenge. Number 4. Who is a player that wears number 4?
There is a pitcher here.
There is a
like
pitcher
an actual
here.
pitcher. The only number 3 he would pitch was Jorge Mateo.
Oh, fair. Even though he's a position.
Yes, but this is an actual pitcher.
I could see like the face like right in front of me. I'm just like, who is it? Now,
wait, a pitcher is worn number 3 this year?
Well, no, it's only Jorge Mateo.
It was a position player.
Yeah. Pitcher is worn number 4.
Yeah, I know that much.
Okay, wait a second. This is going to be weird to say this here, but Leody Taveras wears number 4, I think, right now.
Yes, he wears number 4 with the Mariners. Pick a number 5, Mr. McCorkle.
I believe this guy wears number 5, Bryson Stott.
Bryson Stott, 0.3 WAR. That is correct. 6, Alex. Number 6.
Nick Castellanos?
Nick Castellanos is incorrect. Right, that is strike 1 for Alex.
Okay. All right, so then does it go to Mac then at number 6?
You got to keep going, man.
Yep, you got to keep going.
I can't say Dan Wilson, right?
Correct.
Dang. He does wear number 6.
He still wears number 6. Okay.
Yeah, he still wears number 6.
Players only.
Okay, let's see here. Let's keep going back to the mind. Is he number 6 or is he number 9? Alec Manoah?
He's not played in the big league.
He's not pitched this year? Okay, then, yeah.
Boy, 0 for 2.
I am really not good at this game.
Yeah, neither am I. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
all right, strike 2 for Alex. Strike 2 for Alex. You have, I think, 12 options here.
I feel like there's only 12 options.
Yeah, 12 number 4s.
Oh, crap.
Well, this is number 6, though.
Oh, yeah, 12 number 6s, my bad.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I can't use a Mariner here because obviously it's Dan Wilson's number. So he has 6. I don't know. Shea Langoliers.
Yeah, close but no cigar.
Incorrect.
Yeah, that was the last
one. All right, so I win.
Congratulations, McCorkle. You have won. You are out, Alex, unfortunately.
I had to work really, really hard on that one.
The most notable number 6, Jake Myers leads them all in WAR. Taylor Walsh, Josh Young, Otto Lopez, Hai-Sung Kim, Starling Marte, Matt Shaw.
Starling Marte, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I was not going to come with any of those
Bailey
names.
Falter, the only pitcher in the group.
I didn't know he wears number 6.
Yes, good job, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for putting together this trivia splash.
Yeah, that was a good idea, though, yeah.
Yeah. All right, but with that, it's now time for our final segment, the moment to ourselves, where we take a little bit of time to talk about whatever is on our minds. Does not have to be baseball related, but it absolutely can be. Gentlemen, would either of you like to go first? All right, Splash, you are good to go in 3, 2, 1, begin.
I swear to God, Cavs, what on God's green earth are you morons doing? How do you shoot sub 30% in back-to-back playoff games? You shot sub 30% like twice the whole year. Before a last second 3 in game 1, you had the worst shooting performance of the entire season. And I can complain that the Pacers hit 55% of their shots or whatever in game 1, whatever. A lot of them were open, fair enough. Game 2, how do you blow a 7-point lead in 48 seconds? The Pacers missed 3 out of 4 free throws, and you just, we're going to give them the offensive rebound. The Pacers essentially had 3 offensive rebounds in the last 45 seconds. You had missed free throw, rebound, put back, dunk. Missed free throw, Halliburton pulls it out, hits the 3. And then you had a block out of bounds that the Pacers get possession again. How do you let that happen? So on one hand, I'm infuriated because you are an incompetent basketball team, can't win a game at home. Even if you split and you go back to Indiana, then you just split in Indiana. Fair enough. But, oh man. And then there's a sad element. There's a mad element that you blow the lead like that. And there's a sad element of you win 64 games. And as soon as you get to the playoffs, Garland gets hurt. And then you start the second round. Mobley gets hurt in game 1. DeAndre Hunter gets hurt in game 1. There are really 7 important Cavs, the starting 5, and then DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome. The 7 most important Cavs, 3 of them are hurt. Great.
Yeah, no, I get. Thank you for the strike 3 name, by the way. Appreciates that. But thank you very much, Mac. I don't know who put that name for me.
It wasn't me, actually.
Oh, is that just you keeping track of things? Okay, yeah, no worries. All right, Mac, would you like to go next, or would you like me to go next?
You go ahead.
All right, sounds good. Someone give me a countdown.
All right, I got you. 3, 2, 1, go.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about wrestling again, because that is what I'm in love with. This Saturday is Backlash, and the fact that there are a few confirmed matches for this that are, let's just say, interesting. I love that we're having Cena versus Orton. That's fun. That's great. But we're also setting up a bunch of other storylines. We do not actually have Cody Rhodes for the first time on, guaranteed on the show, which feels blasphemous to say, but hey, the man deserves a break. That man has been putting the company on his back for a couple of years at this point. But I want to see the last time ever, or whatever you want to call it, for Orton v. Cena. But the one that I have to talk about at least just a little bit is Gunther versus Pat McAfee. You heard me right. Pat McAfee is going to be in the ring with Gunther, who is going to destroy him. And I understand, it's scripted entertainment, blah, 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 blah. You have Pat McAfee going, a podcaster and wrestler and commentator. I will give him that. He's wrestled a few matches. Going up against the Austrian man that is almost 7 feet tall, over 300 pounds of pure muscle. What? I like the story they've built in, but I want to watch the match because I just need to know, are they going to let Gunther just completely destroy this man? Or is it going to be an actual match? And to be fair, it's that curiosity that's keeping me interested. So you know what? Fair play to him.
Pat McAfee, God, I can't imagine this.
Pat McAfee has actually wrestled in a few matches.
He's a professional athlete.
Yeah. I know, yeah. It's just
he's wrestled at WrestleMania. He's wrestled in NXT a few matches. He's actually really good. But
I'm sure it's just that's all right.
I know, but
see if he makes it out of there.
Here's the thing: I want you guys after this time, not right now, and also the fans at home. If you do not know who Gunther is, type into Gunther. WWE, and just marvel at this man. Whether or not you look at his days as Walter or as Gunther, you will be like, this is not a human. This is
so he's
pillar.
Basically Logan Gilbert.
All right, so Matt, you ready to go? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, sure, I'll go.
All right, your time begins in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so I found out on Facebook the other day from my cousin that one of our favorite places in Brooklyn closed all of a sudden. It sounds like they had planned it for a while. My aunt apparently was saying that last time they went, they were doing some work around it. It's called Queen Italian Restaurant Cafe. It's on Court Street. And I'll say this much: it's pretty cool that the owners are opening a new restaurant out in Central Jersey. But and this is nothing against the folks from Panda Express, but it's being replaced by a Panda Express in Brooklyn. Going from what I think is it was my favorite Italian restaurant at least, and I know it was my family's. Going from that to a Panda Express is a little disappointing. And look, I nothing against the people from Panda Express, but that was a place that was very important to our family. My grandparents were regulars there. Everyone knew them. I mean, the owners came to the services for both of my grandparents. So it's just one of those things where I wish I'd gotten to go back there before it closed. Last time I was there was in 2019, right after my aunt got married. So I'll have to try to make it out to Jersey to try their new restaurant because I was a big fan. Everyone in my family was a big fan of their food. So hopefully I'm out there at some point because that place, I'm sure it's the same quality of food out there.
Yeah. In the taste of risk of making a bit of a tasteless joke here at this point, having that kind of change in restaurant is kind of like going for Luis Castillo and then seeing that there's an F in the middle of it.
Oh, like the Orioles.
Like the Orioles did. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, also Luis F. Castillo is also a good pitcher, just not the level
He's
of Luis
solid,
M.
yeah.
Castillo. Anyway, but that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. Make sure you go follow us here on the Bird app, Twitter, X at LAR_baseball. You can also go ahead and give us a subscribe and a follow. So, subscribe, like, comment, all that on YouTube as well. Losses above replacement. We've been getting a lot of good traction there. It's been a lot of fun. Here, on top of it, here, you can go follow us individually on Twitter. Here, you go follow me at the Sports Guide 24. You can go follow Mac at Mathias_A_K. You can go follow Splash at Mr. Splashman 19. But from all of us here at Losses Above Replacement, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe. Happy birthday, Chris. And I hope to see you all real soon.